Hello, everyone. This is Jason Johnson. As I said before, it's been a long time since I left you. Usually I try and do this every 5 days, but I have some important news to share with you, but I'm going to get to that in a second. If you are watching this on Instagram, as I usually say, it's only going to go for about a minute. Then you have to go over to my YouTube channel, Dr. Jason Johnson. Dr. Jason Johnson, that's where my YouTube is. It's been growing like crazy. Like I said, we've got tons of views. And then I can go into things in more depth. Current events happen on Instagram. In-depth conversations and things like that happen on my YouTube channel where I talk about three things. And I have three things that I really have to talk about this week. It starts with this shirt. I hope you love this shirt here. I usually wear a really awesome t-shirt. You can see it's all the different countries and the motherland, the continent, spelled out, Libya, South Africa, and everything else like that. And the reason I'm wearing this shirt is because I just got back from South Africa. I was there for about 2 weeks. I was doing research. I was giving presentations at Africa Comic-Con. I was doing all sorts of fascinating things. And I was there at the same time that these Afrikaner refugees were fleeing white genocide and coming to the United States. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So please like, subscribe, and share. Press that like button right now. We're going to talk about three things on white folks and South Africa. So first thing is this. I've got to explain to everyone because a lot of people don't understand this and it drives me nuts. There is no white genocide in South Africa. It's just not there. That's the first thing. Number two, American press coverage of this issue of Elon Musk, of this administration are terrible. And number three, yes, we are moving towards an authoritarian state if we were not in one already. I've been saying that for a while, and I can share that about some of my travel experiences. So let me start off with this. I went to Cape Town, South Africa. It was my second time actually going to South Africa. I went to Johannesburg way back in 2007, before the World Cup was coming. And I went down for the purposes of research and a lot of different kinds of experiences and sharing things. It's a fascinating, amazing country. I advise everybody, if you ever have a chance, you definitely want to go to some place in the continent. The food is really unique. It's a mixture of kind of African food and everything else like that. I swear the obsession, I have to show this, the obsession with Kentucky Fried Chicken is weird. The idea that you have Kentucky Fried Chicken flavored chips and that country doesn't make any sense. But what really doesn't make any sense in South Africa is this idea of white genocide. Now, for context, for anybody who hasn't been following this particular issue, on Monday of this week, 49 South Afrikaners or Afrikaners were moved from South Africa. They flew out of Johannesburg, South Africa, to the United States as political refugees, okay? That is a fact. That's what happened on Monday. They literally came into Dulles Airport the day before I ended up coming back from the country. Afrikaners, in case you don't know, they are primarily Dutch, French descendants, white people in South Africa. Afrikaners pretty much describes almost anybody who is white in South Africa. And if you know the demographics of the country, about 80 something percent of South Africa is black Africans. Only 7% of South Africa are white Afrikaners who are sort of Dutch, English, French descendants. And then everybody else is sort of colored, international. And the term colored used for biracial people, multiracial people, Indians, Muslims, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the basic breakdown. Now, why are these white people leaving? Well, basically because we have a racist administration. I mean, let's be clear about that part, right? Like the reason it's happening is because Donald Trump on Monday, with Elon Musk in his ear, says that there's a genocide happening in South Africa, that white people are all being killed in South Africa and that we have to protect them. Mind you, this is happening while every other refugee from every other part of the world is being blocked from coming to the United States. Okay, now regardless of how you may feel about refugees, whether you think people should be able to come into this country or not, this has been my general philosophy. And a lot of refugees may be coming from these kinds of places. Okay, my general philosophy has been the United States breaks a lot of things in different parts of the world. And if because of our guns and our weapons and our policies, your country has been messed up, I think it's reasonable people should be able to flee here. Okay, that's my general feeling about the idea of amnesty, about the idea of refugees. I mean, there are wars in various parts of the country. There are regimes in various parts of the country that are there because of our policies and our money. So if the people there are like, hey, we're getting murdered in the street because of our faith, of our belief, or our country's been destroyed, we have some unelected dictator, by the way, y'all the ones who gave him guns, why the heck shouldn't those people be able to come to the United States, right? So that's my basic sort of philosophy. But what's happening here is not that. White South Afrikaners are not in danger in any capacity one way or another. They're just racist. And we have a racist running the country, and we have a racist from South Africa in his ear, Elon Musk. And they've been promoting this myth for 30 or 40 years now that there is an intentional government-run genocide. Trump said this himself. He said there's a genocide going on in South Africa. They've been promoting this for 30-something years now. And so you had 8,000 or so white South Afrikaners apply for refugee status. It got expedited. Meanwhile, people from other parts of the world can't seem to get to the United States. And 49 of those people got to land at Dulles Airport outside of Washington, D.C. in Virginia and start their new lives here on your dime. I need you to understand that. We're paying for white folks with money who couldn't handle being in a multicultural democracy in South Africa to come here and now take our stuff. So anybody who has issues with immigration, again, these seem to be exactly the kind of people you're complaining about. And for folks who are calling themselves refugees, I saw a lot of Nike shirts. I saw 3 or 4 different bags of luggage. I saw people who look exceptionally comfortable. Okay. And I can also say this. There's so many other things that I can say about Cape Town, South Africa, South Africa in general. But I can also tell you this. There are some basic facts here to understand, right? 70% of the farmland in South Africa is still owned by white people who are only 7% of the population. Okay. Black unemployment in South Africa is 36%. White unemployment in South Africa is 7%. White poverty in South Africa is only 1%. These people are not suffering. These people are not in danger. They're not suffering through genocide at all, under any circumstances. They may be victims of crime, but the vast majority of victims of crime, even on farmland, are poor black workers. Poverty is a greater indicator of you being a crime victim than race in South Africa. But again, we have a white nationalist government. Now, number 2, our coverage of this in America is terrible. And here's why it matters, right? I need everybody to understand this. It matters because to the degree that our information system in the United States is being taken over by Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the right-wing ecosphere, right? We get a warped view of how race and power are actually happening in this country. You had on Wednesday, those of you who still go on Twitter, I don't call it X, the mama call him Twitter, I'm gonna still call it Twitter. But those who go on Twitter and X, there's a whole experience that happened on Wednesday where Grok, G-R-O-K, Grok, which is the chat GPT, which I also don't like to use, the chat GPT on X, was telling everybody about white genocide for like 16 hours. There's reports about this in the Atlantic, reports about it on Axios, reports about it on Vox, right? Elon Musk is using Twitter and the billions of people who are on it to promote these notions of white genocide. And rather than being aggressive in the coverage of that, a lot of the United States just said, oh my gosh, where are these white people coming from? What are we going to do about this news? And it's all a lie. These people are not economic refugees. These people are not political refugees. They just don't like living in a country run by black folks. And that's the other part of this that I think is important when I talk about news coverage. I was in Cape Town for 12 days, and I was doing, like I said, I was doing coverage, research, following all sorts of things. You know what I found fascinating? That Elon Musk, who is from Pretoria, and let's be clear, he was born in Pretoria, South Africa. His grandfather moved the family to apartheid South Africa because he liked it better. So let's be clear. This is somebody who ain't even like naturally South African. He's like, man, let me spin the globe. Let me find the country that's the most racist one possible. That's where I want to raise my family. So if there's ever any questions about Elon Musk and whether or not he's saluting or he's doing Nazi salutes, I don't think we should find that too difficult given where his family history is. But anyway, all that being said, I was there for like 12 days. It's amazing how much more the United States covers Elon Musk than the country he's actually from. Most people down there think he's kind of a joke. I talked to lots of different kinds of people, political people, cultural people, comic book convention, Uber drivers, political analysts. Most people down there are like, yeah, we don't really understand why you guys talk about Elon Musk so much. He's kind of a joke down here. Elon Musk could not have as much influence in his home country, even though he's the richest man on the planet, which would make him even more powerful down there. He ain't got a lot of billionaires down there. He has more influence in the United States than he would in his home country. That tells you something about how dysfunctional the United States has become. And how dysfunctional our press coverage is. That we continue to cover this man as if he's a government official, as if he's some sort of influencer, and not talking about the fact that in general, and I cannot stress this enough, as we move towards an authoritarian regime, we should be talking about these people as authoritarians, right? So that's another thing to remember. Down in South Africa, they know they're not having a genocide. They don't cover this man like he's some sort of powerful political influencer. They don't cover him at all. They think he's kind of a joke. And the thing that they're most concerned about down there is that South Africa ends up looking bad. They're worried about their country looking bad. They're certainly not worried about some mythical white genocide, which we know isn't happening. And if you want to understand this sort of in the simplest terms, imagine Imagine a group of middle-class white people, a white guy who's like a lawyer and his wife's a school teacher and an accountant or something else like that. Imagine some white people who are living in like suburban Detroit and they decide, oh my gosh, I want to be a refugee from Detroit. It's too dangerous here. And they move to Montana. That's basically what you've got going on here, right? And that's how the press is covering it, as opposed to pointing out that this is a myth. It's a white nationalist lie. Elon Musk is a white nationalist. We spend way too much time talking about him and not enough time talking about how Trump is destroying and warping the perception of the United States throughout the world. So last thing I'll say is this. Number 3, authoritarian regimes in travel. I got to tell you all, because this is a not small thing. Hassan Piker, who is an Instagram influencer, and other people, we've had scientists and other people talk about this. This country is moving towards complete functional authoritarianism. We already know the authoritarianism interests of Donald Trump, but these people are moving towards functional authoritarianism. Hassan Piker was a Trump critic and internet influencer who was detained in customs trying to come back into this country. I know people who have been detained trying to come back into this country. People who are being asked questions by customs like, have you made fun of Donald Trump? Are you critical of this administration one way or another? I can tell you as an academic and a scholar, I made all sorts of preparations coming back to the United States in anticipation of the fact that I might get blocked. And nothing happened. I was fortunate to get back in this country. But the fact that we even have to think about things like that now is indicative of how our country works. And to combine all these things together, we now have a country that will block refugees from all over the world who have legitimate rights to come here seeking economic, political, cultural, and racial safety. Our press covers the opening of our tax dollars and our wallets to white nationalists from another country as just a weird quirk of this administration. Meanwhile, American citizens like myself who want to travel back and forth have to live in fear of the fact that if we've said something critical about this ongoing regime, that somehow we wouldn't be allowed back into our own country. It's not the kind of America that we should really be particularly happy about, but it's the kind of America we're dealing with now. And no amount of opportunities, no amount of KFC flavored chips are going to cover up the fact of what this country is doing and the nonsense being involved in bringing these white South Africans here. Anyway, it's Jason Johnson. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in about 5 days. Please like, subscribe, and share. 3 things. Talk to you later. And those of you who've been asking me, I'm going to say this quick. People keep asking me about how to get my t-shirts. I'm going to put up a t-shirt store soon because people have been liking my shirts, and I figure, hey, I rather than putting in constant links, I will show you guys how to get the t-shirts that I wear all the time. Talk to you soon. It's Jason Johnson.